Your mom says she's fine, but you see the unpaid bills, the expired food in the fridge, the bruise on her arm she can't explain. You try to help, and suddenly you're the enemy. If your aging parent refuses help, the answer is not to argue harder. Use four moves. Protect their dignity first. Find the fear behind the no. Offer a small trial choice instead of an ultimatum. And bring in a trusted voice when safety is at risk. Those are the four strategies. Let me walk you through each one.
Welcome to the medical walkthrough.
If you're an adult child caring for an aging parent, you already know the hardest part of caregiving isn't the logistics. It's when your aging parent refuses help and you can see the gap between where they are and where they need to be. You notice the pile of unopened mail, you smell the kitchen, and when you try to talk about it, they shut you down. This is the most common scenario I hear about from adult children caring for elderly parents. Your elderly parent won't accept help, not because they're being difficult and not because they don't love you. They're refusing because acceptance feels like loss of independence, loss of identity, loss of the life they built in that house on those terms. When your parent refuses home care, refuses to stop driving, refuses to let someone come in and help with bathing or meals or medications, that resistance has a reason, and the reason is almost never about you. Here's what gets missed in almost every conversation about aging: parent safety. Your parent's refusal is not a problem to be solved. It's a fear to be understood. That shift from how do I fix this to what are they actually afraid of changes every conversation you'll have from this point forward. It's the foundation for all four strategies. And if you're watching this after 11 p.m., after a long day researching caregiver burnout because you can feel it creeping in, I want you to know you are not failing. You're doing one of the hardest jobs a human being can do. And the fact that you're here looking for answers instead of giving up tells me everything about who you are. Let's get into it. Strategy 1. Stop trying to win the argument. Lead with empathy and autonomy instead. When your aging parent refuses help, your instinct, because you love them, is to build a case. You gather evidence, you list the reasons, you point out the expired food, the dents in the car, the missed appointments. You present your argument like a lawyer because you think if the logic is airtight, they'll say, "You're right, let's get help." That never works. And it never works for a reason. When you build a case against someone's independence, they don't hear your love. They hear an indictment. Their defense goes up, not because they're stubborn, but because you just confirmed their deepest fear, that they're losing control, and you're the one taking it. So here's what to do instead. Next time you sit down to talk about help, try this approach. First, drop the evidence. Don't bring the list, just sit with them. Second, ask, don't tell. Instead of, "Mom, you need help with the house," try, "Mom, what's been harder lately?" And then listen. Don't correct, don't jump in with solutions. Let them tell you what's hard in their words. Third, affirm their autonomy out loud. Say, "You've been making your own decisions for 80 years. I'm not here to take that from you. I'm here to make sure you get to keep making them safely." That last line matters more than you think. What your parent is actually afraid of isn't help. It's the loss of self that comes with accepting it. When you say, "I want you to keep your independence," you're speaking directly to the fear driving the refusal. The goal here is not to get a yes in one conversation. The goal is to change the tone from adversarial to collaborative. Because once they stop seeing you as the person trying to take over their life, they start letting you into it. Strategy 2. Ask what's underneath the no before you offer any solutions. When your elderly parent won't accept help, that no is not the whole story. It's just the top layer. Underneath it is almost always a specific fear. If you can find that fear, you can address it directly instead of fighting their surface level refusal. See, when your mom says no to home care, what she might actually be saying is, I'm afraid a stranger will judge my house. Or she could be saying, I'm afraid if I let someone in, it's the first step to a nursing home. Or I'm afraid you'll use this as evidence that I can't live alone. Or I'm afraid I can't afford it and I don't want to admit that. See, there are 4 different fears there, 4 different no's, and one single word doesn't tell you which one it is. So you have to ask. Here's a question that works. After they say no, after you've taken a breath instead of pushing back, try this. I hear you, Mom. Can I ask what worries you about having someone come in? And then be quiet. Let them answer. Because what they say next tells you exactly what you're dealing with. If they say, I don't want a stranger in my house, that's a privacy fear. You can address that with someone they already know or a friend's recommendation. If they say, I don't need it yet, that's denial. You can address that with a trial approach, which we'll cover next. If they say, I can't afford it, that's a financial fear. And you might be surprised how often that is the real answer and the real reason hidden behind a wall of pride. And listen, if this is the conversation you're preparing for, if you're sitting down with your parent this week, save this video right now so you can come back to these questions before you walk in. You'll want them fresh. Strategy 3, offer small choices or trial runs, not ultimatums. This is where most caregivers go wrong, and I don't blame them because it's natural. Your parent needs help. You've identified the help. You present it as a package. Mom, we need to get someone in here 3 days a week for meals and medications. See, that's not a conversation. That's a sentence. And your parent hears it as one. Here's the reframe. Instead of presenting a complete solution, offer a small, low-stakes choice, a trial run that feels reversible. Let me give you 2 examples plus 1 bonus, okay? So here's example 1, the trial run. Instead of, we need a home care aide, try, Mom, what if we had someone come once, just one time, to help with the deep cleaning? If you hate it, we don't do it again. No commitment, 1 visit. No commitment, reversible. And here's what happens 9 times out of 10. They tolerate it. They realize it wasn't as bad as they feared. And the next time, the no is a little softer. Example 2, the either or. Instead of you need to stop driving, try, Dad, I'm not here to take your keys, but I'm worried about you driving at night. So either we adjust your schedule so you're not driving after dark, or I ride with you on the longer trips. Your call. You didn't take the keys. You offered 2 options, both moving towards safety, and your call is doing more work than any argument you could build. Here's the bonus. The existing yes. Start with what they already accept. If your mom already lets your sister bring groceries, that's a yes. Build on it. Since Sarah's already coming Thursdays, what if she also grabbed your prescriptions? Saves you a trip. See, you're not adding a new thing. You're expanding something that already exists. And here's the principle. Autonomy is not the enemy of safety. It's the path to it. When your parent feels like they're choosing, not being forced, the resistance drops. Not always, not immediately, but enough that the next conversation is easier. And if you're thinking, but what if they say no to the trial too? They might. And that's where strategy 4 comes in. Strategy 4, bring in the right trusted messenger. And when safety is at stake, set a boundary that overrides persuasion. Here's a truth that's hard to hear. Sometimes your parent won't accept help from you, not because the help is wrong, but because you're their child. To them, you are still the kid who learned to drive in their driveway. When the kid says you need help, it lands differently than when a doctor says it or a trusted friend says it. This isn't a failure on your part. It's a family dynamic that's been in place for decades. And you can fight it or you can work with it. Think about who your parent respects. Maybe it's their doctor, a longtime friend, a sibling who lives further away. Maybe it's their church leader. Ask that person to have the conversation. You can even script it. Dad, I know you and I go in circles on this. I asked Dr. Patel to talk to you about it because I trust his opinion, and I know you do too. Now, I need to be direct with you about something. There is a difference between a parent who is refusing help and a parent who is in danger. If your parent is wandering, leaving the stove on, mixing up medications, driving when it's no longer safe, or showing signs of self-neglect, unexplained weight loss, unpaid bills, a house that becomes unsafe, that is no longer a persuasion problem. That is a safety problem. And when safety is at risk, you have permission to move past persuasion, contact their doctor. You can share your safety concerns, even if the doctor can't discuss private medical details without your parents' permission. Ask the doctor what steps are appropriate and who else should be involved. Call your local area agency on aging. Involve a social worker. In some cases, contact adult protection services. That is not betraying their trust, that's honoring it. Because the thing they trusted you to do, the reason you're watching this at all, is to keep them safe. I know the guilt that comes with that, but I also know what happens when caregivers wait too long because they didn't want to overstep, and I don't want that for you. Let me give you the 4 strategies in one breath, okay? 1, stop trying to win the argument, lead with empathy, and protect their autonomy. 2, ask what's underneath the no, because the refusal is never the whole story. The fear is. 3, offer small choices and trial runs, not ultimatums. Make it small, make it reversible, make it their call. 4, bring in the right messenger when your voice isn't landing, and set a hard safety boundary when the risk is real. Here's your 1 step for this week. Before next week, start a note on your phone called The Conversations. Write down 3 things, 1 question you've been avoiding about your parents' finances, 1 concern you have about their driving, and 1 medical decision you're not sure they've made yet. That's it. Just 3 things. Next week, I'm walking you through how to have the 3 hardest conversations in caregiving: money, driving, and medical choices, without it turning into a fight. The exact scripts, the opening lines that lower defenses, and what to say when your parent pushes back. Because these aren't conversations you can afford to keep putting off. And the way you start them changes everything. If that sounds like something you need, and if you're caring for an aging parent, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. You're doing something really hard, and you're doing it because you love them. That matters. I'll see you next week.
Download your copy of the Patient Protection Blueprint now. Click the link in the description for your copy.